you. If you have five leaves, it will support one very good flower. If you have 5 to 7 very good leaves on an apple tree, you will have a beautiful apple. It's exactly measured. And if you are conversant with this technology, and if you can talk to the plants and plants talk to you, you know exactly that what will be the photosynthetic index in the greenhouse today, therefore how many flowers are going to be supported today, and what will be my production. Not more than 5% variation in the production forecast. Maybe in the factory it might be difficult to come up with 5% variation production forecast, but we in greenhouses can definitely do it with the measurements and with this kind of calculations. So it's very interesting. You actually fall in love with this kind of an activity. The difference between a normal industrial factory and greenhouses is that it is a factory of one kind, but you have to be also man with dirty nails. When, I don't know, I am quite old, you can see my, salt and paper, more of salt and less of paper now as I grow. When my, we were in strict regime of schools, unlike the modern generation. So the headmaster or the class teacher used to inspect every Saturday the nails. Those who had good nails, clean nails, no dirt, properly, cleared, and they used to say, good boy or a good girl, your nails are clean, I'm happy with you. In greenhouses, whenever I go there, and I ask all the promoters or managers especially to show me their nails. Believe it or not, I do that. And when I see dirty nails, I say, fantastic, you are the best floriculturist or a greenhouse operator. I need people with dirty nails. This is the difference. This is not a job. You see, today I'm wearing a coat, and this is one of the luxuries. When AMA or EDI, they call me for lecture, I get to wear good clothes and talk to good people in good clothes in nice air-conditioned environments. Otherwise, this is always in the cupboard. You must always be on the farm, looking at the plants, talking to them, using the scientific method, and therefore your production will multiply. If this is taken into consideration, greenhouses will always succeed. I have not seen a project that has failed if done properly. It's just like any other factory. Okay, now, what else? Yeah, and I'm reminded of one story. Again, let me share that story because this is a very boring subject actually. When I come here for my wisdom tooth lectures or soft skills, leadership motivation, it's a lot of fun because you can tell a lot of stories. This is pure business. But let me share this story. There are many people who say, oh, this greenhouse is not working, oh, this project is difficult. I'm reminded of a story. There was one gentleman who had about 15-20 years of very happy marriage. And believe it or not, he never had a single, fight or had never hurt his wife. This is, of course, a story. Suddenly he realized that his wife had become deaf. But he wouldn't tell her because he didn't want to hurt her. He was continuously thinking how to solve this problem without her coming to know that she has become deaf. One day when he was in the office, lunch break, he realized his old friend is a great ENT surgeon. So without having his lunch, he rushed to him. And after a long time, they met, so nostalgia, khaki chaddi, safed shirt, kaise hum window se bhagte the, aam churane ko, vagara vagara, old stories, reminiscences. And then he said, why did you come? So he says, your bhabhi is deaf. Can you help me? He says, yeah, of course, bring her along. Or I'll come to your house, I'll have tea and also, diagnose, and then we'll solve the problem. He says, no. If you do that, she'll come to know. So he says, but then tell me from what distance she hears or otherwise. He says, I don't know. Either you are a friend and a doctor or not. Let me go back otherwise because I've come from office. He says, don't worry, we'll find a solution. But you'll have to tell me at least the distance. So the doctor friend told him that when you go home in the evening, from a certain distance, you ask a question. When the wife doesn't respond, walk further. Ask the same question with the same decibels. No reply, again walk. And then tell me from what distance, approximately what distance, she responded. Then I will find the solution. He says, sure. He says, sure. Evening, around 7 o'clock, he goes back home from the office. The wife is cooking. Beautiful spices, the herbs and spices of India, which is nowhere in the world, believe it or not. In Africa, in Europe, wherever I've gone, it's all dull, spiceless food. I'm used to it, but Indian food is fantastic. Gujarati food is even better. So, tikha. The Thailanders do that. They have a lot of tikha. But, so he went, and wife was cooking, busy in the kitchen. So he asked this question, what's up for dinner, honey? Khane mein kya hai? No reply. Obviously, because the wife was deaf. Walked 10 steps, asked the same question, what's up for dinner? Again no reply. Walk further. What's up for dinner, honey? No reply. So he now reached the kitchen, standing in the kitchen door. The wife was facing the platform on the other side, her back to him. And he asked the same question, what's up for dinner, honey? So wife turned around very angrily, as they always do, and she said, 4, 5 times you are asking the same question again and again. Every time I'm telling you it's pulao, pulao, pulao. Don't you hear? Have you gone deaf? The gentleman was deaf. Now, when you don't manage these issues, and just because somebody says it's very fashionable to have a greenhouse business, or somebody sold a land in crony capitalism of India and has millions of rupees, तो 4 bangadi की गाड़ी लेना और एक greenhouse बनाना. 4 bangadi की गाड़ी means Audi. So, when that happens, you don't want to enter this business. It has to be a very committed, very professional entrepreneur manager who has to enter this business. And let me also share with you, it's not about greenhouses. It's about any kind of agriculture. It's a business too. Unfortunately, in my entire life, I have not come across a single person till date whose business card read managing farmer. Nowhere. I have seen every kind of falana consultant, dhikna consultant, but not a managing farmer. This is all about being a managing farmer of a business. It's a business and market linked. It's not about production, it's about the market. You begin from the market, who is my buyer, at what price, how will I grow that quality and specifications, what is my local condition, what I need to invest, and then go about doing your project planning and implementation with good advice. It's bound to succeed. Okay, now next. Yeah, these are some of the technical diagrams which I'll skip for the time being. If you have more interest, we can always talk later on one-to-one basis at a convenient place. But those diagrams show how the thermal currents go up and how the wind velocities are maintained and so on and so forth. What you see here, no, go back. Yeah, what you see here is different kinds of greenhouses in other parts of the world, depending upon the climate, depending upon the crop, depending upon the local conditions as well. There is one this one. No, go back. This one. This is a climate seed germination chamber. In fact, near Gandhinagar, I've done that in 2002 for the government organization. They had a mandate of preserving seedlings of the species that were fast diminishing. And they wanted bulk production and plantations. So, as you know, in nature, the seed of the trees, which are natural trees, it falls off after duleti or whatever, and then it remains in the soil where there is a lot of humus, naturally generated manure, and then when humidity rises due to approaching monsoon, which goes about 80, and then the opening cracks, and then the plumule and radicle, which means the shoot and root, come out. So it needs a particular temperature and humidity condition for the germination of the seeds in the nature. So what we did here was to create not a greenhouse, but a seed germination chamber, which is a structure, but different structure, where exactly the same conditions of onset or pre-onset of monsoon were created through foggers, misters, and temperature regime. So therefore, round the year, it was monsoon, and round the year, the seedlings could be germinated. So this kind of very many applications are possible. It's not just growing flowers or capsicum or cucumber. It is also useful for specialized nurseries, specialized environmentally threatened species cultivation. Equally, if you have a tissue culture project, would you like me to share a little bit on tissue culture for a moment? Yeah. You know, every plant, not every, many plants, a set of many plants have a tendency of growing without sexual reproduction, which means flower, where there is a pollen grain and then there is a ovary and then the pollen grain falls there and then there is a fruit and then there is a seed. But many plants have asexual which means vegetative growth capabilities. You take rose, put a cutting, it will regenerate. There is no pollen grain, there was no flower. It has come into existence on its own. So here the beauty and the difference is, when there is a flower-based reproduction and production of the plants, there is always the father and the mother. So like in all mammals, all animals, even in plants, there is genetic crossover and dominant characteristics preside over the non-dominant, and you have both parents contributing to the characteristics, which is genotype and phenotype. So the genetic signature of every generation is different when there is a flower-based production. But in a vegetative production, if you take 1,000 cuttings from the same tree and if they can grow, the genetic signature is absolutely same as that was in the plant from where the cutting was taken. That's a macro propagation. So like in computer, they say GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So if you have taken that tissue, which is a rotten tissue with substandard capabilities of production, you will have substandard millions. But the plant that you choose, from where you created the tissue and the millions of plants, then obviously what you get is plus plants, fantastic production. But all with the same genetic composition. This tendency is called totipotency, found by a German botanist. Many in India are capable of finding many things that Germans, Americans, and the British do. The only difference is we do not pursue the ideas, and we do not document the ideas, and we don't take it to the logical end. Otherwise, India will have the largest number of innovations, because the creativity is absolutely phenomenal in India. As I've been traveling in many parts of the world, I do realize that we are very sharp, lot of ideas, but we don't take it to the logical conclusion. But here, therefore, in tissue culture, what happens is when you create a plant in a microtube, in completely sterile environment, because you can't have exposure to environment, because the bacteria will immediately strike, or other invasions will be there. So they are very pampered, like the children of elitist people of upper middle class or elite class of the society. So they can't go and sit in a bus, they can't go in a rickshaw, they're incapable. They'll find themselves clueless if they are left in hostile or difficult surroundings. So likewise, then these plants have to be taken in the intermediate stage, and that is hardening. So from tissue culture lab to the hardening facilities, which is a greenhouse. Now they are conditioned, they are made ready to fight the world, and then they are taken back to the field and planted. So another application of greenhouse is hardening as well. Yeah. Go back. Yeah, this is, as I said, my first project in 1992. That is when everything happened in India, started happening in India, and it was a 5-hectare project, 100% export oriented. It's still functioning, and the same structure is still intact. So somebody asks me a question, what is the life of a greenhouse? I can vouch for 20 years at least, because this is a 20-year-old structure. It can be, when it will die, I don't know. So then I'll tell you the life. It's ongoing process. Next, yeah, these are the flowers that have been taken out from the greenhouse. Then they are bunched, graded, and packed in this kind of wrappers. And from there, they are put in the boxes, and they are shipped out internationally. I'm just talking about floriculture for the time being. But as I said, the range is a huge one, including vegetables, medicinal plants, aromatic plants. Somebody has started ginger cultivation with very good results now. So another shock for me. I keep getting shocks nowadays, because Gujarati farmers are coming up with fantastic ideas, and they show me more and more applications where greenhouses can be utilized for a gainful business venture. But I'm talking about floriculture alone for the time being. Holland, that is the Netherlands, would be controlling about 60 to 65% of the world flower trade, inter-border flower trade. And inter-border flower trade globally would be in the region of 70,000 to 80,000 crores annually. It's a small country, maybe one large district of Gujarat state perhaps. One of my friends in Holland said that if you come to Holland and if you drive too fast and if you are in deep conversation with me, you will overshoot into Belgium. So it's that kind of a country. So here, the flower marketing is a great possibility. They have an auction house called VB, and there are many more now. which is a transparent auction system. You sit there, you bid there, and you get your prices on the dial there. It's like a cricket stadium actually, and your transparent price realizations do take place, payments come without fail. It's a very, very regulated and very transparent system. But that's not the only way out. Once you establish, then you can start going to the wholesalers, semi-wholesalers, retailers, and so on and so forth. This flower will excite you because you got 10 or 15 rupees. But only 2 or 3 or 5 flowers, and the minimum bouquet price in Europe today is about $45 to $50. It goes as high as $500. So if you go into value addition, it's absolutely phenomenal. And India, though it all started in 1992 due to proactive liberalization policies, a lot of structural and policy changes came into existence, transportation linkages were set up. We must congratulate and thank government for all this that happened post-liberalization. And only then it was feasible. India was always technically a correct destination for international flower growing, but it was not feasible due to certain policies, laws, quarantine regulations, bad connectivity. Believe it or not, in Pune, Khandala has about 7 or 8 kilometers of track to Mumbai. Now that was a single track. Monsoon invariably 5 kilometers here, 10 kilometers there, there used to be traffic jams. So how do you ship your flowers for the flight to take off? Because KLM, if you are sending to Amsterdam, is known to fly dot on time. I have been shipping for about 5 years from Pune, and not more than 3 minutes of variation in takeoff time and landing time. Air India, of course, was a different story when I was sending it to Japan. It could be 3 days plus minus. But KLM was this experience, and Lufthansa as well for Frankfurt shipments. But this is not a criticism. I'm making a simple statement of fact. I'm as patriotic as all you are. But the issue was that Khandala used to be the bottleneck. So how do you reach your flowers in time for the takeoff, which must be at least 4 hours before taking off? And therefore, it was not possible. The moment Khandala Ghat became two-way, it became immediately possible. I'm talking about small, small things. The changes that took place in 90s. And suddenly we saw a surge of floriculture projects, all export-oriented, large corporate projects which flourished. Those days, the investments in agri project were in the tune of about 5 crores to 7 crores or 8 crores, large integrated projects like the one I showed you. And mostly the corporates or capital, who had capital ventured. What was very heartening and is still heartening is that eventually in early 2000, that's the 21st century or towards the end of 20th century, the farmers started 500 meters square, 1000 meters square, 1 acre, that is 4,000, nearly 4,000 square meter greenhouses in their existing farms. So the greenhouse culture, it had a tremendous outreach, and it went to the doorsteps of the farmers, unlike the corporates which were into this business. Now you see, in Maharashtra, if you travel on the highways, you'll see greenhouses everywhere. Every farmer has a greenhouse, is growing something. Then there is a patti system. So the flowers, there is a truck that starts from Kolhapur, goes like this, and reaches Mumbai. Now every Panka Galla or a tea stop, tea stall on the highway has a patti system. So they will bring a box, keep it there. He just gives a chitti, a paper, it goes onto the truck. Next day, chitti is confirmed back by the buyer. The system works. These are like the tiffin walas of Mumbai. So this system flourished in Maharashtra. Now in Gujarat, which was actually not very receptive to this idea. In fact, I started the activity here in 2000. And for 4-5 years, we did some projects, but it was not very encouraging. Though, as he said, I was advisor or consultant to Gujarat State Financial Corporation in those days. That was specifically for this purpose. I drafted the high-tech agri finance policy, and they started giving loans for the greenhouse projects in 2000, but very lukewarm response. Gradually, it started happening in South Gujarat. And then now, if you go to Sabarkantha, Banaskantha, Patan, everywhere there are greenhouse projects, and the farmers are venturing into 1 acre projects because now the subsidy is subject to the ceiling of 1 acre, 65% subsidy is given by, am I right? 65% now. 50 has been increased to 65, and all components have a benefit of subsidy. So, a lot of farmers are taking to greenhouse cultivation in Gujarat. And as I said, with a lot of innovation, where I'm learning from them that it's not just roses, it's also cucumber, it's also muskmelon, it's also ginger. I don't know what they're going to come up with next. So I'm holding my breath for that new shock, but it's happening in Gujarat. Now, uh, we can go to what? Automation? Oh, you wanted to show that difference? Yeah. Soilless culture? Yeah. See, if your soil is not good, or otherwise also you are keen to spend little more money and get much better production or productivity, maybe 20-25% higher production, then you use coco pit. Coco pit is not soil. You create this artificial planting area by putting coco pit here. Your drip lines are going inside. This is a mulch, so it controls the weeds and others, and then you have the plants coming out of the coco pit. This is one artificial, soilless, I would not say artificial, soilless method of growing crops in greenhouse. There are others also, rock wool culture. Rock wool culture is polystyrene that we call thermocol. The sandwiches are there. The rock wool is like a sandwich at different levels. The rock wool holds the plant, and the the thermocol holds the plants, and then the rock wool in the layers, in different layers. In that the microtubes are there where fertilizers and your water and everything goes in a precise manner, and absolutely on a rock wool you can create greenhouse. So these are artificial media rather, variety of crops that can grow. Can you just scan through quickly? Gerbera, roses, strawberries, cucumber, green chili, capsicum, tomato. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, is automation system. This is where you program your food. This is where you program your delivery of water. It's computer managed, and therefore precise delivery every day, anytime you want. And therefore, as I said, the production and productivity can go much higher, but it costs also. Normally in a large project, automation is feasible because the cost of automation system is so much that it has to spread on a particular volume of square meters that you have in greenhouses. So if you have about 10, 15, 20 greenhouses in a cluster where the automation can deliver the inputs, it might be a good idea. Otherwise it becomes slightly lopsided in terms of economics. This is how the system functions. It's just a schematic diagram, water to the system, to the greenhouse, and out. This is a computer controlled schematic diagram, how it works. These are the technical slides. We can skip this. This is, for instance, this is how the thermal currents, yeah. Go ahead. What else? Any more slides? Yeah, many designs, as I said. This, go back. This is a butterfly design. In the previous one I showed, had only one side went like this. This is two sides. So there are many variations. There are more than 100 designs practiced worldwide. Okay. Now I think I'll dwell upon only one or 2 points, and then we'll get into the discussion. Economics. In Gujarat or in Maharashtra, a good greenhouse at current prices, it might be different when I come out of the class. If the steel prices changes, if the government changes the cost of steel, the moment I come out, I'll give a different quote. But assuming that it stands as